right, we're going to get started. Again, thank you so much for being here. I also want to thank Rena Levine from our marketing department, who's doing all the magic behind the scenes and organizing everything that needs to be done from the tech side. Thank you so much for joining us. Before I begin and start talking about graduate school in Israel, I just want to say that when I was looking at the registration of people joining us this evening, I recognized some names of students from all over North America that have been reaching out in the last few weeks in particular. And the messages of caring and concern for what's happening in Israel has been very heartwarming and very important. And I want to say thank you so much. In addition to joining us, thank you. It means so much to us that that your prayers are with us. We know that you're concerned and thinking about the situation in Israel. At the same time, we are following with concern regarding everything that's happening in the United States and Canada on the campuses. We know it's a very difficult situation for many of you, and our hearts are with you. We are here today to talk about graduate school in Israel. I'm going to introduce myself again because a few more people have joined us. I'm Shlomit Ben Michael. I'm a higher education advisor at Nefesh B'Nefesh. Avital Feldman is an advisor at the Student Authority, and we are going to talk today about graduate school in Israel with an emphasis on the master's programs. So let's get started. Today we are going to discuss a few main topics. One of them is we're going to talk a little bit about the universities in Israel. We'll talk about the acceptance criteria for getting into a master's program in English. We'll get a little bit into the big debate of Hebrew versus English, acceptance criteria for a Hebrew MA, and finally, Avital will talk about the benefit for Olim, which the Student Authority provides. As we get started, I would like to encourage you to put your comments in the chat. And if you have questions, they can go in the Q&A. Either way, we will do our best to respond to any questions that you have, either in the Q&A or in the chat. And we'll try to, by the end of this webinar, address all of your questions. So Israel has 10 universities and over 50 colleges. Now here, you'll see that there are only 9 universities, which I've listed because I didn't have room to write down the Open University, which in itself is a very impressive university. But Israel boasts 10 wonderful universities, most of them ranked globally for excellence. And I'm sure you all recognize them as you see the list here. An interesting fact is that Israel ranks number 3 in the world for academic degrees per capita, behind Japan and Canada, meaning the Israeli population is very academic and very educated. And there's a huge emphasis on getting a university degree. It's interesting that over 50% of the adult population has an academic degree. And these universities are, as you see, are all over the country, and probably they're all very familiar to you. Having said that, the newest university is Reichman University. It was established as a university only a few years ago. It was a college for many years. And what makes it a university is that now it offers a 3rd degree, a PhD. So in addition to these, there are over 50 colleges, as I discussed. However, having said that, most of the English language programs are at the international schools of these universities, which is why they're of interest to us in this discussion, because many, if not most of you, are going to be particularly interested in the English language degrees, which we're going to discuss in a second. So what you see here is not a complete list of the degrees in English in Israel. And they range. There are many, many MBAs that you can choose from. There's an array of MAs in the sciences, again, in English, and STEM, and many degrees in government and diplomacy and conflict resolution. So while this is not a complete list, I think it's interesting to see that as opposed to the bachelor's degrees, which is much more limited in terms of the English offerings in Israel, the universities in Israel have made available many dozens of degrees taught in the English language, which is very important to know, because not everybody knows that. And they're very well described on the websites of every university. So if you're interested in any of what you see here, or you want to know which MAs are offered at a specific university, it's as easy as going on the website and checking it out. Usually they're within the international school of that university. So I wanted to discuss for a second what the acceptance criteria are for a degree in the English language. So first of all, you see here, it's probably similar to what you see in the United States. To get into a graduate degree, you need to get a certain percentage. You need to have a GPA that's either an 80 or an 85% of a GPA in your bachelor's degree. The bachelor's degree has to be from an accredited university. Obviously every MA has prerequisites depending on what it's in. All of the websites have those prerequisites. And as you know, for most MBAs, you need a GMAT. And for almost all of the MAs in English, you do need to take the GRE. In addition, specifically for an MBA, you're going to need some professional experience. Very often they interview you, if not always, they interview you and they want to know what your experience is in the field before they accept you to the master's degree. And of course, recommendations are also very, very helpful. So that's more or less the acceptance criteria for an MA. And here's where it gets interesting, because very often we have Olim, or people who want to make Aliyah or study in Israel, and they're interested in the list you see here. And they say, well, I have a BA in biology and I want to study nursing, or I have a BA in liberal arts and I want to do an MSW. And the interesting thing is that in certain fields in Israel, the degree and even the license is offered on a BA level, not on the MA level the way it is in North America. So examples of that are law. Law is a 3.5-year program. Nursing is a 4-year program, again, on a BA level. Occupational therapy, physical therapy, and speech therapy are all on a BA level. Physical therapy, PT, is a 4-year program. And social work is a 3-year program. And at the end of that BA, you are licensed as a social worker in Israel. And if somebody wants to do an MSW, it gives them more opportunity in the field, but it's absolutely not necessary to be a licensed social worker in Israel by getting your MSW. And the other interesting aspect of all of these fields is that to date, none of them are offered in English. That's changing slowly. The Student Authority is working very, very hard together with the universities in Israel, together with Nefesh B'Nefesh. We're trying to make available these degrees and these licenses so that the studies are in English, to make it easier for those of you who would like to study in English. There is a very good chance that there will be a nursing school opening up in English next fall in Jerusalem. Stay tuned for that. And we're working on the other fields as well. As I said, I just want to reintroduce myself for any of you who might have joined us. I'm Shlomit from Nefesh B'Nefesh. I'm a higher education advisor, and Avital Feldman is from the Student Authority. And at the end of this presentation, we are going to address the questions and comments in the chat and in the Q&A. So please feel free to write anything in those. Okay, and we often get asked the question, should I study in English or in Hebrew? Because obviously there are many degrees that are offered in both languages. An example of that is an MBA. There are outstanding MBAs in both languages. You can also find many degrees that are offered in English, for example, in the sciences, but also in Hebrew. So people will often say to us, my Hebrew is pretty decent, but I'm debating whether or not I should apply for a program in English or in Hebrew. And the answer to this is that it's very, very individual. And if your Hebrew is decent and you'd like to challenge yourself, I would encourage you to try to find a degree in Hebrew in the field of your choice, if possible, because it's an opportunity for you to immerse yourself in the language, to improve the professional lingo, to integrate more with Israelis, because by nature there will be more Israelis in your degree in the classroom with you. And it's like an immersive ulpan. Your Hebrew will just automatically improve by being in that type of setting. And of course, for life, if you do plan on making Aliyah, then studying in Hebrew could only be an advantage. Keep in mind that in many of the universities, if not all of them, there are tremendous accommodations for Olim Chadashim who are studying in Hebrew. Very often the reading material is in English. Very often you can submit papers and exams in English. And most universities have the policy to add time, 30 minutes to an exam that Olim Chadashim are taking if you're doing a degree in Hebrew. So keep in mind that even if it might be easier to do a degree in English, there is a certain advantage to pushing yourself to doing a degree in Hebrew if your Hebrew's okay. So it brings me to the acceptance criteria if you're going to be doing a degree, a master's degree in Hebrew. First of all, in Israel, the BAs and the MAs are fluid. If you're going to apply to a master's degree, your BA has to be somewhat related. So if you want to do, for example, an MA in biology, your BA should be in the sciences, most likely life sciences. If you want to do medical school, you have to have a BA in pre-med. I will, because so many of you I know are interested in medical school, I am going to speak about that for a second. Right now, because I feel like I get so many inquiries about medical school in Israel. People are very alarmed about the fact that the international medical schools have closed down, which is true. They're continuing on with the students that enrolled a few years ago, but the international medical schools are no longer accepting applications, which leaves us with only the medical schools in Hebrew and Ben Gurion University, which has a medical school in English, but they are only accepting Olim Chadashim, which means that you have to be an Israeli citizen to be going to this program. And they do accept MCAT scores, and there's a lot of information on their website. So I'm happy to have that discussion with any of you. And then just to continue this list of how to get accepted to a Hebrew MA, obviously, every MA has its own requirements for what grades you need on your transcripts. Then you need also, there are standardized test scores. For example, for psychology, you need to be doing the MITAM test, which is it's like the GREs for psychologists to get into an MA in psychology. And there are standardized tests also for medical school, like the MCATs, but it's called More Americam. So the different fields have different standardized tests, and you need to get a minimum score on these tests. And like I mentioned before, you also, in many cases, need some professional experience, recommendations, and if you're going to be studying in Hebrew, you do need to take the Yael Hebrew proficiency test and get a minimum score on that, usually a score of 105, when the scale for the Yael test is 50 to 150. 105 is around Ramad Daled and Ulpan. So if you're going to be studying in Hebrew, keep in mind that you will be tested in order to get into that to that degree. So I very often get asked, what can I do to improve my Hebrew? And of course, there are online courses. We have a whole list on our website. Watch Shtisel on TV. Watch as much Israeli TV as you can. The subtitles help. And there are all sorts of online wonderful shows in Hebrew that are both entertaining and will help you improve your vernacular and your spoken Hebrew. There's also Ulpan Etzion when you make Aliyah for academics. There's a wonderful program called Taka, which Avital will also mention, but it's also for people with an academic background who want an immersive program, which will also give you even more academic skills to continue into an MA, and finally to speak Hebrew as much as you can. And an immersive experience is really the best Ulpan. I want to talk for a second as we wrap up my segment of the presentation. I want to talk about the cost of a master's degree in Israel. So this might look like a lot to you, but let's all remember what the cost of an MA is in the States. The tuition in Israel is standardized. So every year, the Council for Higher Education in Israel determines the standard tuition, both for a BA and an MA. Right now, it's 30,530 shekels for an entire master's degree. And you'll see in a minute that Olim Chadashim will get this entirely reimbursed, but Avital will explain exactly how that works. And for the private and international degrees, there's a range, but it's usually somewhere between $15,000 to $40,000 for an entire degree. Avital is now going to present what the Student Authority has to offer you if you do decide to make Aliyah. So after Avital presents, then we're going to be addressing the questions that you have, and please continue to write them so we can address them at the end.
Okay, thank you, Shlomi and Nefesh Benefish for having me here. I'm very excited to be able to share this great opportunity with all of you. Shlomi, can you see my screen? Just making sure that, yeah, perfect. Okay, so my name is Avital. I am the head of the English-speaking desk at the Ministry of Aliyah and Integration's Israel Student Authority. And we really, we help and we really take care of students who are new Olim who decided to make Aliyah and study in Israel. And I'll give you a little bit more information about what we do, our assistance, that doesn't really end in the tuition. There's a lot more, and how it works really, and the eligibility. Okay. So regarding eligibility, the time frame in order to be able to get our assistance is you need to start studying within 3 years of the Aliyah date. With that said, this count of 3 years will be held or frozen in cases of students who decide to first do the Army or Shavut Leumi, if if you make Aliyah before the age of 22, most likely you'll be asked to do the army. There are ways of, I don't want to get into it right now, but there are ways of first doing your studies and then joining the army. But in any case, for those who do the army or Shuvut Leumi before studying, so that time is frozen in the count of 3 years within the Aliyah date, and it's not taken into account. Regarding the age, so for graduate degrees, usually the age limit is 30, meaning you have to start your studies by the time you're 30. Same with the TACA program that Shlomit mentioned. The TACA program is an academic preparation program with an intensive ulpan that's more on an academic level and really gets you prepared for your studies like very, very well. It takes about it's a 4 to 5 month program. We have it in Jerusalem, in Ashkelon, down south, Tel Aviv, and Haifa. And it's a great way to really integrate into the Israeli academic system. And it prepares students very well. So that as well is up to the age of 30 before your master's degree. And we do have they're called absorption programs that are master's degrees, and they are up to the age of 35. And I'll show you the 3 programs that we have at the moment, but we're working on developing more programs in order for you to be able to really get different subjects and different fields up to the age of 35. So as Shlomit mentioned, there are degrees in Israel that you would need only a bachelor's degree in order to be able to be licensed. For example, law or nursing or engineering. And outside of Israel, you would need a master's degree. So in those cases, students who come to Israel and say, well, we have a bachelor's degree, but we want to be a lawyer. So we do help with an additional bachelor's degree, and also in the STEM subjects, which are science, technology, engineering, and maths. We do assist with an additional bachelor's degree, but besides these degrees, our assistance is for master's degree, meaning if you already have a bachelor's degree and you make Aliyah, we assist with the master's degree unless it's one of these subjects, which in that case, you would be eligible for another bachelor's degree. Here you can see the application deadlines. For new students, it's usually November 10th. Continuing students, meaning if you're starting your second degree, it's the 1st of October. Some students start only the second semester of the year, and then that would be April 1st. And sometimes students start at the summer semester, and then they would need to apply by August 15th. And this is so that you'd be able to get the full tuition assistance, meaning the registration is always open, but if you don't apply on time, you won't be able to get the full 100% of assistance. So it's very important that if you do think that you want to make Aliyah and you want to apply, that you do it on time. And of course, you can always be in touch with us beforehand in order to see what exactly you need, what the process is, and make sure that it's done. Another step in order to get our assistance is to present original documents. You present it to the local offices. Again, we'll give you all this information if you're interested. This is just in general. Because we're talking about graduate degrees, then high school diploma is important to bring, but because you already have a degree, then they might ask to just see the diploma from your bachelor's degree. And an acceptance letter to the recognized institute that you got accepted to. Now, like I said, that our assistance isn't just the tuition assistance. We we really know that Olim, a lot of time, we need support. And we make sure that our Olim students are supported throughout their degree. And on campuses, you'll be able to find personal counselors and guides. Whoever needs a psychologist or social worker, we provide that assistance as well. Academic assistance for whoever needs, tutoring sessions, cultural and activities and trips, which really we connect all the Olim together on campuses, and it's really nice to see and to get to know other Olim who are studying different things. So that's really, we want to make sure that you feel like you're supported and you have who to talk to. And so we put a very big emphasis on that as well. And we want you to succeed, and I feel like that's a very big part of it. As I mentioned, there are special programs that are you would be eligible to get tuition assistance for up to the age of 35, because usually the master's program are up to the age of 30. So the 3 programs we have as of today, we're really working hard on developing more programs. I'll let you know what they are, but for now, the first program is at Bar-Ilan University, and it is MBA and cyber degree. So the way it works is that the first half a year of the program, you will be studying for a CISO diploma, which is, I wrote this down, it's Chief Information Security, sorry, wrote this down, Chief Information Security Officer. It's a diploma, it's an international diploma, and it's an international cyber school at Bar-Ilan. It's very well known. And so the first half a year of the program, you study that, then a full MBA degree in English, and together with UPAN classes. And of course, we also have an option of subsidized dorms in the university. So that's one program. Another program is Strategic and Digital Advertising at Ariel University. It's also a full program taught in English, taught online, together with Ulpan as well, and an option to board at Beit Bordetsky, which is an Ulpan in Tel Aviv, or in the university dorms. Really a great opportunity. And the last program for now is an MBA program at Ariel University, which here it's different. It's not all in English. The first year is in English, together with Ulpan classes. And in the second year of the degree, you integrate into the Hebrew program. That way you also get to know the people in the Hebrew track of this program and get to study in Hebrew and really integrate into the society and really the university campus and the feeling of studying in Hebrew. And also here you would be able to get subsidized dorms. Another thing I didn't mention and I want to mention here is that part of our assistance is some people don't really know what they want to study. They know they want to make Aliyah. And so we offer a professional counseling and advice service, which includes 2 sessions with a professional occupational psychologist and a whole day of computerized tests in order to evaluate and see what would be best for you to study and even which campus would be best for you. And this is subsidized by the Israel Student Authority. And we also assist with the Yael tests that Shlomit mentioned before. We have preparation courses and we subsidize those courses as well. Sometimes it's even as part of TACA program. And I think that's it from me. Also, as Shlomit mentioned, we're working on a program in nursing that would be two years in English and then 2 years in Hebrew, and engineering as well, both in Jerusalem. So that's something to, if you're interested to reach out about and see if they're going to open and when, and get some more information from us. And this is my information. You can take a screenshot or take a picture. I'll also send it to Shlomit so they can send it to you after. And I'm here for any question you have.
Okay, thank you so much, Avital. That was really, really helpful. And I would like to start answering some of the Q&A, some of the questions. I want to thank my colleague Nurit, who's been answering it as we go along. But there are a few questions here I think are worth like really opening up and answering in front of this in this big forum. Some of the questions, if I don't answer them, it's because I think that we should be talking about it individually. It's a little bit more niche. I'll start, but you'll forgive me if I don't address your particular question. The question about clinical psychology, whether or not somebody has chances of getting into a clinical psychology graduate degree as new Ole. If you have a BA in psychology and it's been at least 3 years and it's not an online degree and your grades are good and you can take and you do well on the MITAM test, which is the test that helps you get into an MA in psychology, then your chances of getting in are good. However, your Hebrew has to be nearly fluent. You have to do very, very well on the Yael test in order to get into an MA in clinical psychology. So it's true. In Israel, it is difficult to get into psychology. It's very, very in demand as a field, but especially today with the situation and what this population has been going through and continues to endure, mental health professionals are more important than ever. So if you're thinking of making Aliyah and you're a mental health professional or you want to study clinical psychology, I encourage you, improve your Hebrew and please, please talk to me about it because it's a very, very important and valued profession in Israel. So that's something I'm happy to speak with anybody individually about. Somebody wanted to know what can be done to make yourself a better prospect for admissions. So in general, for master's programs, there's more of a personalized approach to admitting students. And so they really do look at the person's accomplishments, whether or not you've done volunteering and how you've contributed to society and your work experience and your personality. So you have to be a good interviewer. And of course, grades are important. Certainly if you're applying to a Hebrew program, your Hebrew should be at least on level Dalet of Ulpan, meaning it should be somewhat conversational. I think this is a very important question about transferring credits. We get asked all the time about transferring credits, and especially now because of the sensitive situation on the campuses, there are more and more students who are asking about transferring credits to Israeli universities. And the answer is that every university decides for itself whether or not they will accept credits. However, our experience has been that if the credits that you are looking to transfer are similar to those that of the degree that you're going into, they will often accept them. So if you're looking to transfer general electives or credits from yeshiva or seminary, they will almost certainly not be accepted. However, if you're going into a pre-med program and you already have credits in, let's say, anatomy or organic chemistry or anything like that, if you can often have those credits recognized because it's so similar to the Israeli curriculum. Thank you, Ariella, for asking about the Reichman Medical School, that they are absolutely planning on opening it. I believe that the date is still the fall of 2024, Although if any, Avital, have you heard anything, any updates about Reichman?
No.
Okay, so I do believe that it's still about a year from now. Certainly not this coming academic school year, but they've committed to it. And one thing that is very important is that it's going to be in Hebrew, the medical school. I don't think that at this point they're changing it to English. It's going to be in Hebrew. So keep that in mind. A lot of people are asking about a master's in fine arts in English. I do not believe that there are any masters in fine arts in English in Israel at this point. Avital, can you think of any?
I can't, but I will say that we have the list of all the different programs that they do have in English that it's on our website, and we could definitely send it out as well.
And I want to just add that after this webinar, by tomorrow, we will hopefully be sending a follow-up email to all of the registrants with the topics which we've covered. And we'll be sending our contact information in addition to that list, the link to all of the degrees offered in English in Israel. So you can really see the full listing. Okay, so somebody asked, could you use the advice service to evaluate what to study before the Aliyah process? I believe this is a service for Olim Chadashim. Having said that, on a less professional and maybe even a less of a formal way, Avital and I are very happy to speak with anybody before Aliyah, have a conversation with you about your career plans and what to study in light of the Israeli job market. So we're always happy to have that conversation with you if you'd like. Genetic counseling is not available in English, but there are master's degrees in genetic counseling in Hebrew. And please keep in mind that, as I mentioned before, especially in the sciences, the reading materials are, many of them, if not all of them, are in English, and you can usually submit papers and exams in English. There are a lot of accommodations. Deadlines for application for fall of 2024. In general, all of the university applications open at the end of January. So last week of January, you will see that the universities begin to open their websites. The online applications are open, and they close depending on what the field is. So, for example, for medicine, you can usually apply until April because it's a very prestigious field and very in demand. Some of the fields also close earlier, like in April or May, fields such as law and psychology. And some of the other fields which are offered in more of the universities, and there's more supply and less demand, will close as late as July and August. So thank you, Rachel, for asking that. Okay. If I turn 30 in September and the academic year starts in October, would I still be eligible to receive benefits? So as long as you are starting your university studies before you turn 30, you are eligible to apply. If you're close, like if you turn 30 in November, oh, I'm sorry, what you're saying is you're turning 30 before you start. Because it's so close, you should apply. And even though you'll be turned away on a technicality, the chances of you getting in are extremely high, meaning when the deadline is so close to the age limit, the student authority is very understanding and accommodating, and almost nobody is turned away if the discrepancy is a month or two. Okay, Avital, do you have anything to add to that? I see you nodding.
Yeah, no, it's true. We have really, if it's a very small discrepancy, then usually we do accept. And if it's even bigger, we always have an exemption committee that gathers and we go through all the requests, and we're here to help. So if we can and the budget allows, then definitely we do come towards the students and the applicants. And so it's always worth to apply, and we'll do our best to accommodate it.
Fabulous. Okay, I'm going to address a few more of these questions that I think are going to relate to most of the people here. Somebody asked, is it okay if I reach out in English to faculty in the program if we're interested if it's in Hebrew only? So if you're interested in the Hebrew program, make sure that your Hebrew is good enough to have a basic conversation. Having said that, for many people, for many Olim, it's easier to have a conversation both on the phone and an email in English, because you're trying to get really technical information. And it is okay, because the staff in the universities, in particular in the graduate schools, their English tends to be excellent. So I think it's okay if you reach out in English, especially because it's an MA program, and you'll usually get a very nice response back in English. So I think the answer to that is, yeah, I think it's fine. I see there are a few more questions here in the chat. MAs in fields that are more geared towards business or humanities, are these recommended paths? Because Israel's a startup nation, I think that there's a lot of employment opportunity for those that have a degree in business, especially in MBA, because it's very competitive. There are so many MBAs and there are so many people who have those degrees in business. If you want to go into business, getting an MBA is a very, very good idea. Law also is a very competitive field in Israel. But you need to get your law degree in Israel if you need to pass the Israeli bar in order to be a lawyer in Israel. The question about does the university in Jerusalem offer nursing bachelor degree in English or just master? There are only nursing degree in English that we know of is going to be opening next fall at Machon Tal. It is going to be almost certainly be opened in the fall. We don't have final approval of it from the Council of Higher Education, but it looks like it will happen. There was a master's program in English nursing until last year, and it did close at Machon Tal. So for those of you who are asking about an English degree in nursing for a master's, it no longer exists. We're hoping that at some point they will reopen it. And another question about, are all medical schools open to new Olim? The answer is all medical schools are open to all Israeli citizens, meaning in order to go to medical school in Israel today, you need to be an Israeli citizen, meaning if you're an Oleh, then you can go to Hebrew medical school, as well as to the one in English at Ben Gurion University. But those who are not Olim can no longer attend medical school in Israel. I hope I answered your question. And then I think that this is going to be the last question. I think it's an excellent question. As an international student, will we first apply to the university programs and wait to see if we get in? Will we first make Aliyah and then apply to the programs? You can absolutely apply to the program before you make Aliyah. Aliyah is a process. It takes many, many months. And if you're interested in the program in Israel, you can apply and at the same time start your Aliyah process. And we'll work with you both in terms of moving your Aliyah process forward and also working with you to find the right graduate program that you're interested in. And hopefully it'll all work out. It requires a lot of flexibility from your part, because sometimes you'll have to apply to several programs. But you can definitely apply to an Israeli program even before you're an Oleh Chadash. I would encourage all of you to reach out to Avital or to me individually. You'll be getting an email with our contact information as a follow-up in the next day or two. And I want to thank you all for joining us. Thank you so much, Avital, for being my partner in this. Thank you to Rina, our marketing expert, and to Nurit, our colleague who's been helping us with the questions behind the scenes. And thank you, everybody. Good luck to all of you, and we look forward to hearing from you. Erev Tov from Israel. Have a good day.